Welcome to Achieving Your Optimal Health webinar. We are starting tonight our second year of delivering webinars in this series, and the focus is to achieve your optimal health, as the name says, and wherever you are in your health journey, the information that we give in these webinars is going to help you uh, to improve your health and reach that optimal stage in your health. So how do you find the webinars? You go to LasVegasAreaTrails.com. This is where we're keeping all the webinars. You click on the link to the very right, Health Education. And here we go. And you can see here every webinar that we've given starting June 12th. Of 2019. So I guess we're not quite at the 1 year point yet. And you can look at any of the webinars. Let's see, Annie's here. And she gave the last webinar. So I'm going to click on Annie's webinar link just to give you an idea how these are organized. So you click on the link and you're going to see the title. You're going to see a statement that describes what the main focus of the webinar is. And then here's the webinar replay. And then here you're going to see the main value of the webinar. What are you going to learn? And the benefits of attending. What are you going to walk away with? And then you learn about the webinar presenter. And then after that, you can look at all the webinar slides. Now, these are also in the replay video, but if you would just like to go through the slides, here they are. And then underneath the slides are the webinar notes, but the notes are also in the slides. We just leave the notes for Google's purpose. So let's go back here. And let's take a look at the webinar for tonight. So we're going to click on this. It's The Age of Quantum, Neurofeedback in Quantum Energy with Dr. Denise Tropea. And the focus of the webinar, quantum physics holds the key to revolutionizing the healing process. Quantum physics states that everything in the universe, broken down to the smallest element, is pure energy with its own unique constant vibration or frequency. The DNA in the nucleus of our cells resonate differently to various frequencies. Some frequencies support health and healing. Other frequencies can be harmful. Learn how to benefit from healing frequencies, such as 432 hertz. And so, and the webinar replay video will go here following the webinar. So you can expect to learn in this webinar the history of quantum physics and the scientists that have contributed, the difference between classic metaphysical physics and quantum physics. Everything in this world is energy and has a range of frequency and is in constant vibration. You'll learn about that. And what is cell resonance and the impact it has on our DNA. So this is going to be a pretty involved webinar where you definitely got to have your head connected to follow Denise tonight. Understanding, this is what you can walk away with here. Understanding of why the time is now for the quantum leap. So that's very interesting. You need to know what this quantum leap is, Denise. Looking forward to that. Learning how hologram programming can capture information for a biological reaction to take place. Okay, what is the significance of 432 hertz frequency and how it is considered the healing frequency? So, wow. Okay, Dr. Denise Tropea, a little bit about her. She's a board certified foot surgeon that's maintained a private practice in Las Vegas for 25 years. And by the way, I've heard that that your feet have nerve endings that connect to every part of your body. So Denise has a lot more to do with than your feet. Uh, okay, she is originally from New York, New Jersey area, and completed her studies at the school college, Scholl College of Podiatry in Chicago. She went on to complete a 2-year residency in surgery and orthopedics in Salt Lake City before opening her practice in Las Vegas in 2016. She closed her practice in Las Vegas to follow her passion in health and wellness. She's one of these rare people that began as, in traditional medicine and then moved to alternative medicine, which gives her kind of a double um, awareness and capability. Okay. And her knowledge of medicine treatment of chronic conditions, the importance of supplementation and exercise, along with her extraordinary skill as a health educator, give her the cutting edge in assisting people in creating their optimal mind, body, and soul health. It's all about wellness with Dr. Tropea. She combines nutrition, exercise, and supplementation, which is the foundation to successful transformation. Every one of us has the power to be the person that we dream of. Her knowledge of medicine, treatment of chronic conditions, and the importance of supplementation gives her the cutting edge in assisting you in creating optimal health. The tools that Dr. Tropea utilizes have been proven to guide your mind, body, and soul. This is what health is all about, and the vast majority of people seek knowledge so that they can heal themselves. In addition, an initial consultation is the first step to find out what your needs are and how to start the journey. And I've known Denise now for over a year, and she is truly an educator. So, and when she gives a webinar or a presentation, just hold on to your seat and get ready to fly. So let's give Denise our full attention now. And Denise, I'm going to turn this over to you. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say. And so I'm just stopped sharing the screen. Go ahead and hit the screen share and take it away.
Okay.
Awesome.
I certainly will. Okay, how's that? That's good.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm really getting good at this.
You are expert.
Well, but yes, thank you for the introduction. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for attending. I never thought I would be talking about physics, considering in school that was one of my very challenging subjects, and especially when I had to take advanced physics in order to get into medical school. But when I learn about quantum physics, it's a lot different than the mechanical physics, classical physics that we learn in school. And I just got very interested in that in the realm of my journey with health and wellness. And I think a lot of it did start with my yoga training over 15 years ago, in which, when you talk about energy, and we are energy bodies, and the energy centers in our body, and then how we expound on that to our energy around us, our community, and then the country and the world, etc. So it just goes on. And then people that I have met along the way in order to further my just my curiosity. In fact, we have Holly here, and she was a bioresonance and an energy practitioner. And boy, didn't that spark my interest. And then we have Annie as well, and she's more metaphysical. And, these are two women that really had helped me really, find out more about energy and what's it all about. And the fact that I love to educate and and then making the connection with Janet, Dr. Franco, that's on the webinar as well, and she'll be speaking later, how we can bring this all together to help people regain and maintain their health and how we can apply it. So with the age of quantum, let's go into a little bit of the history. Dates back to 1900, and it's a branch of science that examines the behavior of energy and matter. And I really don't remember learning too much of this in school. It was kind of just mulled over in a sense. And it was first discovered by Max Planck in 1918. He won the Nobel Prize, in which his experiment showed that energy flows in discrete packets called quanta. So when he discovered that and he proved it, then that spurred other scientists such as James Clerk Maxwell, Nikola Tesla, and Konstantin Weil, which I'll hit upon as being the three most notable scientists in this field. Maxwell, most known for his electromagnetic theory and the study of forces between particles. And he was also the one that detected linear scalar waves, which we'll talk about as well. These types of waves that can go through anything, can go through concrete, metal, etc. And then Nikola Tesla, he rediscovered these waves. He brought it back to the forefront as well. He was an electrical engineer. He was an inventor. He was also future. He looked into the future and he predicted cell phones, television. And he's someone that I really want to read his biography. I have not had a chance to do that. But what I have read about him, it's just amazing at what he's contributed. And he is very underrated, you know, not well spoken about. And he was just an unbelievable, he was a genius in what he was able to contribute to the age of quantum. And then we have Konstantin Weil. He's from Germany, and he continued with Tesla's work with energy transmission through space. He researched and proved that we have special electrical signals called longitudinal scalar waves. So he brought it more to the forefront and also has an application to how it affects our bodies. So these are the three scientists that I've chosen to talk about tonight, where I feel that they have the most contribution, and where we're talking about the scalar wave technology and how that is so important with how we are going to deal with quantum. When we look at quantum physics versus classical, what we're seeing is in quantum, it's the building blocks of matter. It's just all around us, even though we can't see it. And it exists in many places at once. It's called like a superposition, in which there's a duality of particle. And what happens is as it's moving, so is its wave is moving. So it's going to exist in different areas. As opposed to classical physics, in which it's more predictable, like with Sir Isaac Newton, you know, the apple fell from the tree, they realized it was gravity, things that you can measure, such as with the description on the bottom with the balls there. You see that if you hit one, what's going to happen? It's going to be very predictable. In quantum, not so predictable. So when we talk about the time is now for quantum, you know, I believe the technology, it's there, it's been proven. And now it's time to apply it, and how we can apply it to our own health and utilize it in ways of benefit. So when we talk about energy is neither created nor destroyed, it's just transformed, such as your toaster. Your toaster is first electrical energy, and then it goes into thermal, so it heats up the bread. Same thing with your body. It's chemical energy, and then after with the food that you eat, and then it goes into a mechanical energy when you're moving your muscles from that nutrition. And then everything in the universe is in a constant state of vibration. It's always moving, whether we can see it or not. All living organisms have their own frequency. And then the communication between cells and the DNA has been proven, especially in Constantine Mile's book, DNA and Cell Resonance explains this phenomenon. The DNA has a certain resonance, has a certain frequency. And depending on what's going on with our bodies, our nutrition, our outside environment, our inside environment, will determine our health and how this DNA expression can be changed in some way. So with hologram programming, that's another facet in which quantum is utilized. And in 2006, Warren Hanchey, and I have had the privilege to speak with this gentleman and do webinars with him. He is an absolute genius that has studied with the best of the best throughout the world in order to invent and design products that programs holograms that will actually create biological reactions to communicate with our bodies. So he's utilizing the hologram, much like when MasterCard first started to utilize the hologram on the MasterCards, on the credit cards. So he's utilizing basically the same thing, imprinting that molecular structure into a disc and then having it react with a certain machinery or our bodies to get a certain result. So it's just phenomenal technology that we can apply to our health. So how can this technology be utilized in our everyday life? So the basic concepts of quantum assists the scientists to allow these signals, to allow these things to be transmitted by the molecules spinning in space. So when we talk with Warren and he said that spin is everything, is because it's the actual molecules that they're able to imprint in the disc, and that's what's able to give the desired result depending on what they're imprinting. Whether they're imprinting different supplements, such as vitamin D and zinc, or whether they're imprinting CBD oil, imprinting different things to help us against harmful radiation, which we'll talk about. So when we talk about that, EMFs and how it can be harmful, well, electromagnetic fields is produced by all matter, living and non-living. The Earth has its own electromagnetic field called the Schumann Resonance, usually at about 7.83 hertz. But there are times when that resonance can go very high, and people that are in tune to a lot of energy and feel certain energy, it could be very overwhelming. So our Earth does have a certain electromagnetic field that we can actually feel. But strong artificial electromagnetic fields can interfere with our body processes, such as the sleep cycle, red blood cell function, and also cell function. Red blood cell function, it has been noted that with high levels of electromagnetic frequencies, the red blood cells can actually distort and change their shape. We want to have a red blood cell. Red blood cells look like little donuts, and they're roaming around in your body nice and free. But if they are under stress, then we will see them either roped together, crushed or clumped together, and this can be very damaging. The same thing with cell function. Cell function can also have a lot of depletion, we say, of the ATP. What ATP is, it's the little, it's the energy cell, okay, the energy, like in a battery. And we need ATP in order to have our cells function properly. And if our cells do not have enough energy in them or battery charge, then they're going to die. So it has been shown that increases in EMFs can also cause lack of oxygen, leading also to death. So cell phones emit EMFs from the antenna and the phone body. Now, for example, 1G to 4G is 1 to 5 gigahertz. But when we talk about 5G, that could be anywhere from 24 to 90 gigahertz. So very, very powerful, especially for different things of artificial intelligence, such as cars that need to run on this type of electromagnetic radiation. So with getting protection with electromagnetic frequency, we're not going to eliminate the signal, but you want to reduce the amount of radiation. And so certain things such as protection filters can be placed on phones. It's the same idea as, your sunglasses. It decreases the amount of UV light from the sun to protect your eyes. So that's what you're doing with, like, say, protection filters. And we have also worked with Warren, in which he has a website, and they do have protection filters. And it's something that we can put on our phones, on our laptop. I had ordered them today. We got the website up and running. And it's very interesting the way it can help us reduce that signal so we're not getting bombarded by these high artificial EMFs. So now I'm going to go a little bit to different things such as frequency. And frequency, there's a natural frequency of the earth. It's the oscillating of the waves, and it enables the body to heal at a certain level and decreases stress. And so 432 hertz has been noted to help with DNA and help with the healing. And there's many other different frequencies that people can actually listen to. So it's another form of vibration, another form of healing in which you can listen to the music and your cells are responding to that. So as we see, our cells are responding to that. They're responding to different types of chemicals that we're exposed to. So this is very, very important on how quantum, all the basis of this is quantum physics. And a very quote that I really enjoyed was from Nikola Tesla, that if you want to find secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And so I really want to learn more about Tesla because I think he's just contributed just so much. And the scientists are still in the backdrop. These quantum scientists are still in the backdrop. They're still researching, even though it's not anything that makes the front page, only we wish it did, but they are there. And the thing is that it really brings home for me and for people that do understand that things are based on our energy, our frequency, our vibration, in order for us to regain and maintain our health. So important that this is really a main foundation of where we can really start finding our optimal health. Now I want to bring on for a few minutes Dr. Janet Franco, in which this is one part of the segment of our whole wellness platform that we are working on now. Dr. Franco is, she's a person that wears many hats. She is a speaker, presenter. She's a life coach, radio, TV personality. She has worked for over 20 years with the veterans, very much involved with restoring brains due to traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress syndrome with the use of hyperbaric oxygen. She's a veterans advocate, humanitarian. When we've met on a couple of occasions in the last year and a half or so. And we finally just got together because we both really love to share the knowledge and education on how people can regain and maintain their health. So, Dr. Janet Franco.
Well, thank you, Dr. Denise. I'm really honored to be here. I'm just listening to you. You're very explicit in how you share, and it's really delightful to sit back and watch you. I would call it on the platform, as we say in the speaking world. But, you know, my story goes back, as people have heard me on the radio here in Las Vegas for over 30 years now, but it goes back to my 4 children, my 4 sons. My second son fell out a window when he was 2.5, 23 feet on his head, and survived. But he cracked his skull from top to bottom, and that's where my journey began. And many years later, I ended up having a 4th son that had a critical asthma and eczema. So they pronounced him dead in Children's Hospital in Los Angeles when he was 8 months old. And I had 2 sick babies, critical baby, and a single mom. It was horrendous those years. But you know, I look at what we're going through today in the world and in our country, and I look at it in a different way, I guess, because I am a life coach, and I always try to find that silver lining. And the silver lining is this needs to happen to cleanse. Just like we cleanse the body, we need to cleanse our nation. We need to cleanse our words. We need to cleanse everything about our lives at this point. And there's been enough people in prayer around the world to bring this forward. And I was telling somebody today, I was life coaching, that was having a little bit of a breakdown. I said, but this is what we've been asking for. We've been asking for this. And so, like Dr. Denise said so eloquently, we are the one thing I know, I don't know who listens to Cryon on here, but I was listening the other day, and Dr. Denise sent it to me, and he said, I wish somebody out there would take all of these advanced health sciences and bring them to the forefront so that people will know the truth. And I know a gentleman, he was a master in physics many years ago. He said to me, Janet, just stick to the number, stick to the science. 2 and 2 is 4. Not quantum, but when it comes to science, that's what you want to bring to the forefront, not the hoopla. You know, we can get excited about things, but now's the time, like Dr. Denise says, now's the time we need to embrace what Tesla has done and what Warren Hanchey has done. And I've been in the hyperbaric world now for almost a decade. To date, we have over 6,000 veterans that have had their brains restored. We helped Donald Trump get the Mission Act bill passed so we can now look at reimbursement for these modalities. So I've been like the Aaron Brockovich of veterans. I go into these VAs, and a lot of these things are mandated now. And they don't really know until you go tell them, believe it or not. So Dr. Denise and I are going to be working side by side to create a whole wealth of information. It's like the encyclopedia of health sciences in one website. Everything will be one portal, from V cells to stem cells, telomeres, DNA, quantum, oxygen therapies. And we just felt it was time. It was time to bring this amazing science to the masses through avenues of media, and people are scared right now. And you know, universal law, it's incredible because it says too that when you fear, it motivates you. Sad to say, but fear is a great motivator. That's the silver lining of fear. People usually don't change until they got the word cancer or a child was molested or something. Then they choose to change. And so this huge thing going on in our country right now, I'm seeing a huge silver lining of it's an opportunity for the people on this webinar and Dr. Denise and David. It's our time. I said to my son the other day, it's like the bottom of the ninth, they raised 4 boys. Here we go. Bottom of the ninth, bases loaded. You know, you're up to the plate, and it's time to hit the home run. It's time to just swing the bat because you've already done your training. You're already to go. You've already, you know, you have a team you work with. And now you just swing and you hit the home run, and you help humanity by moving the markers of science forward together as a oneness. And so we have coined this because of so many years of radio. I've interviewed the greatest experts on planet Earth for many, many years. But when you get sick, and many people have probably know this, when you do get sick, what do? Where do you go? What do you take? When my sons were sick, I would, at every health food store, I was just piling my basket with things. And so I decided to create what we have now coined the triple crown of health and wellness. And we have three categories. The first one is our sapphire crown, which is our oxygen therapies, our hyperbaric oxygen therapies, microcirculation, anything having to do with oxygen. And our second category is the emerald crown, which is our DNA repair, DNA nutrition, anything having to do with the DNA. And our third is our quantum, which is our amethyst crown. And I'm really, really honored to work with Dr. Denise Tropea. She's got so many years of medical side. I've got more of the philosophy, and my PhD is in philosophy, and I've worked with people for so many years, and people are hurting, but now's our time. The farm and the harvest is ready, and we're the farmers are going to go out there and really reap the harvest of all the hard work we've all put in all these years. So God bless all of you, and thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Very exciting. Thank you.
Yes, thank
Well,
you, Dave.
Okay, so let's open it up for questions at this point. Denise has given a very technical presentation, and as you've gone through the presentation, maybe you have some questions. And what do these things mean? I know I have a few questions, but I'd like to open it up for others here to ask questions first. And then Janet has followed this up with an inspiring call to action, and presenting an organization of how to organize healing into three aspects and move forward and bring that into society at this crucial point in time. So let's go ahead and open it up. Questions? Okay, just as I thought, it was such a technical presentation. I'm going to start digging into this then and pull some stuff out of you guys. Okay, so the core of your presentation, Denise, was about frequency and a natural frequency. And I love how you brought that up, a natural frequency that's the frequency of the earth. And just before this webinar, we're talking with Holly, and she was saying, oh my gosh, I need to get out into the wilderness again. And Holly is with Red Rock Search and Rescue. And I have that need too. You see the image behind me, and I spend an entire day in the wilderness every single week. And if I don't get that, it's like my body is off. And so I kind of get that there is a natural frequency, and that's why people that have experienced the wilderness, it's almost like a drug, because it really, like, it cleanses you. My partner Darlene is into taking blood pressure. She's got high blood pressure, so she's got this blood pressure cup that she uses and takes her blood pressure very regularly, and every now and then she decides to take mine. So I have found that when I return from 20 plus mile ultra hike run up to 6,000 up to a 6,000 foot elevation gain, but overall up to 11,900 feet on Mount Charleston, you would think that maybe you'd be so exhausted that it would affect your blood pressure. The amazing thing is my blood pressure, when I return from that, is perfect. I mean, the numbers are just right, as opposed to when I'm sitting down in front of my computer for a day. If I were to check my blood pressure, it's not as good as after I just run and walked, hiked 20 plus miles and gained a whole lot of altitude. That's a little weird, but but I'm in a frequency that's the natural frequency of the earth. And maybe, Denise, this has helped me understand that a little better. And so it relieves the stress, and it configures my blood pressure. That's why, Holly, you probably are thinking, gosh, I miss this. And because you know what it feels like. And so my question, I know that was a long preamble to the question. Sorry about that. But my question is, can we influence our frequency? How can we influence it? And what difference can that make? So go ahead.
Well, you can influence it by, yes, if you're out in nature, or if you're doing listening to certain music at a certain vibration as well, at a certain frequency, excuse me. If you're in a
what music is that?
What's that?
You say certain music. What music are you talking about?
Well, there's a lot of different healing frequencies. Especially if you go to 432, then you're going to be, healing, it's the DNA, almost being out into nature. If you go to certain higher frequencies, it may be for certain detoxification frequencies. And so there's a whole number of them. Probably Holly knows them a lot better than I do. But when I want to, say, detoxify, or when I want to relax or de-stress, there's certain frequencies that you can, listen to that would. So that's sound. Another one, yes, is being out in the nature. Absolutely. Another one is if you're doing a yoga and you're moving your body and you're getting the blood flowing. And as you get the blood flowing, you're getting the energy flowing. Or when we talk about the sapphire portion of the Triple Crown, and we're looking at oxygen, there's a machine that we can utilize that can increase microcirculation. And if you increase microcirculation or just warm the blood up 1 degree, then what happens is that turns on your parasympathetic nervous system, the one that makes you relax, that helps you with your dilation of your vessels, that lowers your blood pressure, that helps release certain good hormones such as dopamine and serotonin to relax you. And so versus the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight, that's when your blood pressure increases, more blood to the heart, and extremities, etc. So there's a lot of different ways that it can be achieved.
Okay, so
David, can I interject something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Especially with Holly on here. You look at the birds, you look at nature, and we have a video of these birds attacking the 5G tower that was just put up. They're literally attacking it to the death. They were all surrounding it, and they were dying because the frequency completely depleted their ATP. And there's birds dying out of the sky right now with the 5G. So we also have a plant that I have a picture of, and they put in a 5G tower. It's just the little box they put on the wall, on the cement wall, and the tree was burnt the same day, half gone.
Wow.
It's literally all burnt. Now that's frequency beyond measure. So our goal is to, and I love Dr. Denise's quote, we can't control the diseases, but we can control the host. We are the host. So in working with Warren Hanchey directly, we could now empower the body in such a way where he could empower your water with ATP by using a plate that you put it on at night. In the morning you drink it, and then that's ATP, feeding your cells. We could take any of these really advanced modalities we're using right now to feed the nucleotides and the nanopeptides to the DNA to repair what the virus kills, which is that which is a nucleotide. So we can put all this now in jewelry. We could put it in substrate materials that are a wide range. And so this is such a big thing because Warren Hanchey works with the greatest in the world, and he's bringing them inventions that they said he's like the brain out there that's going to move science forward. So he's working with us, and he's chosen the Triple Crown of Health and Wellness to use as his avenue, or as his marketing company, his PR, whatever you want to call it. He's going to use us to be able to introduce these things to the world. So Holly, my goal is to, I know this is really out there, but I'm always out there. You know how you see those towers that are like, they're palm trees and they're plastic, and they use them for like coax cables and stuff. Well, what would it be if we could put these trees, our trees in nature, with a hologram in it that protects the animals, protects the birds, and protects all these? We're in for a really rude awakening with 5G. And they're going farther than 5G. I work with military, and sometimes I know too much. So we would love to find a way to have some kind of a pilot program or something where we have to protect our children and our animals and ourselves.
Neutralizer.
Yeah, and we can do that now. We have Warren Hanchey in our back pocket. Think about that tonight when you go to bed. We have a guy he's the most humble man you've ever met. He's almost 80. He's been doing this for years. And he was willing to take whatever we do around the world with him. So we can have jewelry. Let's say you have a thyroid problem. He could put ATP, and he could put the elements in the hologram that you need for your thyroid, and you wear the necklace and it empowers your thyroid. Is that amazing or what? We're living in animals. We could take, he said, like the name tags. He could put ATP in there. He could put the frequency to repel fleas and ticks and all the things that an animal would need to empower them. And I asked him if he could put the oxygen molecule in an hologram, and he said he could. Think what this could do for us. Not everybody can get in a hyperbaric chamber, but could you imagine wearing things on your body on a daily basis that empowers you, that oxygenates your body, and that balances your alkaline, and all of this? It's amazing what we're looking at right now.
Wow. Okay. Well, that is part of what I wanted to focus on, is the practical applications of this science, and so marvelous. You can put it into a hologram and wear it as jewelry, and that can be programmed to do certain things just by your being in the presence of that. We can put it into nature and neutralize the effects of the 5G towers and the waves that are out there, that the birds are attacking because they recognize the harmfulness. What about a quick question? What about the music? You're talking about music, Denise, that helped us to a certain frequency, and that sounded fascinating to me. But I'm thinking, okay, where do I find this music? How do I know? I haven't seen music like it lists, okay, this music is this frequency. To do
they have it on
something with
YouTube,
this.
or you can just Google it, different frequencies that help, with healing. There's like, a whole list of them, different ones. I can probably put it up, send you the information, and we can just put it up on this way we can, because there's a whole span of frequencies. Yeah.
So if I just Google 480?
432?
Yeah,
432? Everyone knows it but me. If I Google 432 frequency music.
Right, you can do that, and then
I'm on YouTube, it'll just come up. And then I can listen to the videos. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, see, I didn't know this. Everyone knows it but me.
So different ones for different things, and you can Google it and see what 532 is, or whatever the different frequencies are for certain viruses, for detoxification, for healing of all sorts of things. So it's very,
So how
very,
long do you listen to it?
what's that?
How long do you listen to it? Like if you listen to it
Oh,
5
you could
minutes a
listen
day,
to it
does it make a
all
difference?
day long if you wanted to.
Oh,
You
so you
know,
just put it in the
sometimes
background.
you put in a backdrop. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
You know, Dave, we have a little boy that had a near drowning in 2017, little Christopher Salmon. And we got him donated 62 hyperbaric dives that took him out of the woods. He was in a coma when I met him, and he was in hospice ready to die, and his heart is a rock. So we had 62 hyperbaric dives that brought him out of the woods. And then the company donated a microcirculation machine, the Avicen, donated it to him. And I told his grandma, Cynthia, I said, turn on the healing frequencies. Just look them up on YouTube and put them on his ears and let him listen to it a couple hours a day. And she said, when I started doing that, he started coming to. He went from like nothing in his eyes, like he was completely glazed over, to being able to look at her and to start tracking, because the cells can start communicating again. And it's amazing, these little things that are free. They're free. You just look it up on YouTube and you're able to utilize it. I do it most nights. I go to bed with a certain frequency depending on what I'm going through. And they're all up there on YouTube. It's pretty fascinating.
Well, I bet one value of this is that you're not dealing with the side effects of pharmaceuticals, which is a huge issue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, a few years ago, I have to tell you guys this story. It's amazing. A few years ago, I was running into problems with the government and trying to help veterans. It was a really hard walk. And my background is a dancer. I was a professional acrobat for many years. My brothers and I were the Flying Francos. And so I was meditating one day. I said, God, how do I get this word out there? And so he says, well, you have the gift of dance and theater. Write it, and I'll give it to you. So I sat down at the table and I wrote a 2-hour show in a couple of hours with no edits. So it's like a Broadway show that tells the story of American roots and the lone survivor. And I took it a step further through meditation. I was told to use frequency in the music. If you ever seen the movie August Rush, that's a perfect understanding of what frequency is and how that family came back together because of the music. So I'll be launching my show next year if we come out of these riots. And the show is about 28 dancers. There's fire dancers, selkists, aerialists, 12-piece composition. And it's all about healing America and the roots of our great nation. So it's going to be amazing.
Definitely amazing. So, Holly, I'd like you to weigh in here. I know that.
I want to hear a few words from
Go ahead. What did you want to say? Okay, Holly, if you could unmute yourself. And I know you work with frequencies. And how is all this, I hate to use a pun, resonating with you?
Right. Well, all we are is holograms anyway. We're living a holographic life. So anytime we put something into our hologram, into our energy space that has a healing effect, it affects all of our life. So staying really focused when you're a lot of times building the energy in you is by actually listening to these type of things. You can look up, again, like on YouTube is great for looking up any kind of frequency music. But, I think we are making a technological leap here in a lot of different areas, and it's time. I've been doing energy work 25 years, and I'm just now beginning to see some of the technology advances that I've been waiting for 25 years. And also noticing that as we talk to people for about 20 years, it just went over their head, or they just face dropped and they couldn't even absorb any of it. I have more and more people every day that I have conversations with that really get this and really understand that we are energy beings, and that everything has energy that is around us and that we put in our body. And I think the quantum leap that's happening right now for all of us is that we're going to start seeing new technologies that are going to advance us, not only mentally, but it will physically translate into physicality also. But we have to get that that whole mental aspect balanced, because it's really out of balance right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so your whole work with bioresonance is based on frequencies, and you determine the frequency of injury, I guess, that people are experiencing. Something is off, and then you give them a frequency that counters that. Is that pretty much?
That's
Does
it, but
that?
it also optimizes their harmonious own physiological frequency information to make it harmonious. But we are, I mean, again, there is a big, huge technology leap right now, and we have probably a lot of us that have been in it for a really long time. Even with that, it's going to be so magnificent that it will astound us. And to keep remembering that we are the hologram, and that our thoughts, even to every single thought we have, is creating the energy that goes out and creates our reality. You know, so when we're frightened and angry, that's what we're putting out in our field, and that's what's going out in our hologram, and that's having an additional effect with everybody else that's feeling angry and scared. And so the more that we can be in that space of calm and peace and neutrality and love, those type of areas, then we're feeding the hologram and we're feeding the world that energy. And we still have no idea how powerful we are once we really believe what we already are. And there's going to be a lot more we're going to be able to do.
Isn't it interesting that in the past week we have seen a negative frequency start at one location and just spread like wildfire throughout the whole country, which is like basically an illustration of what you're saying. We've seen that frequency spread, and we see it spread in crowds. It's like as there are crowds and then encountering police, and things are going very peaceful, and then something ticks it off, and then all of a sudden it's just pandemonium. And if you look at that in terms of frequencies and what's happening, we're probably seeing an amazing laboratory nationwide that you don't want to see, because it's like you're experimenting with the nation and frequencies, and in a negative way, and maybe in a positive way too, but it's happening. So maybe is there something we can learn from that?
Probably. Denise, you want to answer that one?
Well, I think, right now we're just seeing both sides of it. We're seeing the really, really dark stuff, and then we're also seeing the light come through where people are just trying to be supportive and non-judgmental and want to help everyone. And, so we are seeing both. You're just seeing both sides of it right now. And it's just at odds, really. That's where we're at.
Denise, when you started the presentation, you had Newton's cradle, the image of the balls, the Newton's cradle. And if we think about all this energy coming in, that kinetic energy coming in, it swings to the other, right? So like all this built up anger, tension, all this is coming in, and it like kind of bulldozes the energy over here. And then you get the resistance that says, no, let's raise the vibration, and it comes back, right? And we swing until we rest in the middle.
That's right.
Like energetic, it's an energetic equivalent of gravity.
It's an amazing way to look at what's happening. If you look at it in terms of frequency, and you look at the nation in terms of frequency, and then the question comes, how can we change that frequency? And maybe frequency is an answer, but how do you do this on a large scale?
If we want to look at healing, we can look
Increase
at the
the
Mount
vibration of the earth. Just have more people having that positive, having shining that light, having that hope.
Maybe have towers with megaphones broadcasting that good frequency music.
Yeah, exactly.
No. I've been deployed to the Middle East. That is, no. No.
Really? What? Tell us about that. What do you mean?
It's like the prayer. So it's like the prayer is broadcasted in the air everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. And it doesn't work, you're saying?
Well, it works for those that are receptive to that frequency. It will not work for people that are not receptive to that frequency.
Oh, okay. Amazing. So there is not one frequency you can broadcast that's going to help everyone.
When I do healing, and I do healing at frequency vibration, if I try to bring love to someone who doesn't need love, it pushes back because that's not what they need. So if they're asking for assistance and they need, let's say joy, and I give them joy, then it resonates in like a wave. But if they need something like, let's say gratitude, and I give them neutrality, they're still not matching.
Wow.
That's
So I
still,
have to-
that's like based on Dr. Addy, the Addy window of looking at if a frequency has to be a complete match for that person at that time, and then it's in a window where it has a response with them. If it's not in that Addy window, they cannot take it, they will not take it in. If it's
So
not
there's
used.
no one size fits all.
Yeah, everybody's. Of course,
Oh
we have
my
all
gosh.
certain things that are like our liver or our heart or our
Yeah.
lungs. They all have to be a particular frequency to be those organs.
Mhm.
But it's a lot more than just the physical frequency, healthy frequency. It's the emotional, spiritual, healthy frequency that can be the one that keeps them from accepting or not accepting frequency information.
So there's no global solution.
Well, there are certain things that would be helpful, but again, like, the thing that I thought about is why aren't they playing this background music in hospitals, nursing homes that do have help with cellular regeneration and oxygenation, and just go through the series through the day, an hour of this one, an hour of that, just like, why are they not using that modality to help people heal? I've always wondered that.
Yeah, it's interesting that you would say that, Holly, because I asked Warren about that. And I asked if there's any way we could, because he knows a lot of people in the hospitals across the world. And I think everything's open for us to step in now and do certain things. I think it's our time. Like even the zoos. I have a passion to go to Australia and help some of those animals. We lost 1 billion, and to be able to, I don't know if you guys know, but a lot of the veterinarians are donating their time and going over there. But how great would it be to bring them this technology and being able to donate it for these animals? There's just so much ready for us. It really is time. When they did that global prayer, do you guys remember about a month or two ago?
Yeah.
That global prayer, they said that really lifted us into a whole nother, if you will, no pun intended, galaxy. And it lifted so much. And I think we need to do that more, David. That's what we need to do. We need to come together and maybe once a week have a global prayer, global meditation where everybody is in their own space of what they believe in, but it's all about frequency. So if we can come together as a world, it's not the nation anymore. It's the world.
Yes.
And connect with all these you know, these master spiritual people like Ollie and everybody on here, we can do this. We're doing it. We're doing it. I truly believe if we weren't doing it, I think these riots would have been much worse. I think things would have been absolutely devastating. And now we're starting to realize what we are as a people so that we could see it. You know, it's like illness. Once you can see it and understand it, you can help heal it. It helps to heal it. For love,
And
with
it's
love.
still on a really knife's edge right now,
Yeah.
where it could go in
LA
one
today?
direction or the
Yeah,
other.
you see LA today? LA did all peace. It was all peaceful. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people it was peaceful, and they were sending their message, which is in the Constitution. So I thought that was really great to see that today.
There were other cities doing that also today, where they had completely peaceful marches, completely peaceful gatherings.
I think that's our prayers happening right now. Yeah, a lot of people hurting, and that they're just saying it. They're just lashing out, so we know where they're at, right?
Well, I just thought it was very interesting when I listened to Greg Braden when this all first started, and then he talked about how people are grieving. This is all part of the grief process. And,
Yes.
you know, I think we all can agree with that. It makes sense how he tried to put it in, how he has put it into perspective of that, for people to understand that if it's part of the grieving process they're going through, the way their world was, their life was, and now it's, you know, this is what's happening.
Amazing.
Wow.
Going back to healing a city, if we look at the Maharishi effect, where they took monks that equated 10% of a population, brought them in, and they meditated to reduce the crime rate, reduce recidivism, and increase peace, essentially.
Right.
That it was incredibly effective, and they repeated the study, and they repeated the study, and they repeated the study, and they had positive results. Even if it was single-digit results, it was a positive result from what it was beforehand. And if we take that approach to what's going on right now, to raise the city up, we will be better than we were last month. We'll be better than we were a year ago.
So prayer works.
It's meditation. So it's
Yeah.
the intention. It's if I emit the intention of wanting to bring peace, love, joy to the world, that's what I'm sharing with the world. If I want to emit rage, anger, suppress emotions, that's what I'm sharing with the world.
Wow. Okay, well, we're at the end of our hour. I want to be true to your expectation of time investment tonight, but thank you, Denise, and Janet, Holly, Annie, all that you have contributed tonight. This is an amazing webinar that I'm going to want to look at over and over, because this is like a whole universe of healing and knowledge, and it's like the direction for our future and the transformation that we all want to see on the planet. And there's a key here that we have named this evening that I think, as it's put into effect, is going to be part of what transforms our world. So thank you so much.